Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Elise. I make sustainability content, whether it be about diet, fashion, or lifestyle. Today's video is a little bit different. We're talking circular fashion, but we're talking about it from the seller's perspective, not the buyer's perspective. This video is going to be my tips and tricks of how to actually sell on Depop and like get started with it and everything. But first, I want to make a disclaimer. I'm not like a Depop top seller or like promoted on their platform or anything of that sort. This is just something I want to share with you because in the past like few weeks alone, I've made like $75 on the platform just selling clothes that I simply don't wear anymore. I'm not someone who goes to like the Goodwill thrift store and buys per pound and then tries to sell these items flipped for profit. That's not what I'm doing. I literally just am selling things straight out of my closet. I also want to mention that I am having a 50% off sale until October 1st for the beginning of Libra season. So if you want to get your hands on something in my closet, I guess, or my shop, go ahead. I'll link it down below so you can check it out and just see. If you want also a bundle, message me. We can work something out. I also want to disclaim my bangs. So I'm trying to grow out the fringe that I've had. I've gone through a lot of phases of bangs in my life in the short few years that I've had them, but right now I straighten them to try to like get them out the way, and they're just very like, I don't know, it's giving 60s. Tried to lean into that a little bit, but it's just, let's ignore that. Okay, so moving on to the video that you came here for, the tips and tricks of how to sell. This is what I'm talking about. Firstly, why would you want to sell on Depop or any other secondhand shop kind of thing? Anyway, my first and favorite reason is that it keeps fashion circular. So what that means is it's going from your closet straight to someone else's instead of straight to a landfill, or worse, to a thrift store, the middleman, and then to a landfill anyway. If you think your clothes are of value, maybe try selling them, because when someone buys something, it attaches a different kind of value versus like, oh, I got this for $5 at the thrift, I can throw it away. But if you really purchase it and like think about it, you're more likely to hang on to that piece of clothing for like a little bit longer. There's some psychology behind it, but that's just the gist of it. Like I said, it's also great just to make some side cash. It's not too much effort, but if you're willing to put just a little bit in, then you will see a return. I also really enjoy how much creative freedom you have with Depop. I haven't really seen this on many other apps, but it's almost kind of skewing towards like a social media for secondhand shopping. That being said, you can create like an aesthetic for your shop. You can create all your bundles and discounts. You have your own little bio. You have your marketing and descriptions that you can really be playful with. All sorts of like discount sales and special offers that you get to set. There's also a lot of communication between buyer and seller. I feel like that helps mitigate anyone being like super disappointed, or if there's ever an issue with an order, you can be like, oh, we did talk about this, or like no one's going to be surprised at the end of the day and everyone's kind of getting what they want. And there's also room to negotiate in those communications. So you may have thought about consigning, but maybe this is more up your alley. It's a little bit more hands-on than just kind of like shipping it away and someone processing it and then listing it like on their website. I'm talking to you, ThredUp, and the Real. So it's a little bit more hands-on of a process, but you kind of more immediately see the returns. And I think it's worth it. If you think your clothes have like some value or they're just in style or trendy, why not give Depop or Poshmark or something like that a try? And yes, these are Depop tips, but you can pretty well easily transfer them over to like any other secondhand shopping app, I'm sure. But these are just more Depop specific because I'm most familiar with that platform. So you've decided to sell, but where do you even begin? What do you even sell? Pretty easy answer to that. It's clothes, bags, shoes, accessories. I haven't seen a lot of like homeware, makeup. I think Macari is better for that, but that's what sells on Depop. My biggest tip for listing clothing before you take a picture of it is make sure it's ironed and that it's pet hair free. Also obviously clean, whether that's like freshly laundered or it's just been sitting in your closet and you literally haven't worn it in ages. But the fact that it's clean is like the most important thing. Always make sure it's clean, okay? No one's gonna wanna buy your dirty laundry. In my experience, I find that Depoppers, as I'm gonna call them, are pretty creative people, and they're gonna see the potential in an item that maybe you thought was like trash. They are people that want to repair things or do projects on things, or just kind of maybe downcycle it into something else. So you never really know what's gonna sell. Maybe they're looking for a specific fabric. I actually have a perfect example. Someone bought these really dirty Converse. She said she's gonna use them for a project. I was like, I love that. So I'm glad that these are going to a new home, because honestly, don't have the time or energy to wash them, clean them, and spruce them up, and they're not my style anymore. So don't be discouraged from posting things that are like stained or torn or like you've reworked yourself. I sold old jeans that I've gone from the thrift, reworked, and then was like, these really aren't my style, and decided to sell, and like people love them. So yes, the clothes should be clean, but they don't need to be like in mint, perfect, untouched, unworn, new with tags condition for the item to sell. You just have to maybe market it correctly and list it in a way that people can really like see a vision. I wouldn't let that discourage you. When thinking of what to sell and when to sell, I find that listing clothes that are coming into season or the season just started, those sell most because, you know, buyers are looking for things that they're going to wear because the item is going to arrive in the next like week or less than that. I personally am known for fast shipping. Check out my reviews. You want something that is like, oh, I'm not buying this for 6 months down the road or like next winter. You want it kind of like for that season then and there. So that really helps me generate sales. And then I don't have things that are just sitting in my shop for 6 months before that season rolls around. Next, photos. Photos are huge on Depop. Like I said, it's kind of skewing more towards like a social media. So I think the picture, that first impression that like a buyer gets from your item is so important. But you might be confused. Should I hang it up? Should I lay it down? Should I model it myself? And to be honest, it doesn't matter. It's completely up to you. I've sold all 3 different ways. I can't really see a difference. The only thing I will say is that when I model them, I also tend to style the clothing, and I think that helps generate ideas for people of, oh, I could wear this way, or oh, I didn't think to wear it that way, and I already wanted to wear it this way, so there are so many different ways I can style this piece. That really helps when taking pictures. Really, all you need to worry about is that it's an accurate representation. You don't want like all the stains or holes to be hiding in the picture because that's just kind of unfair to the buyer. And also just decent lighting. You want like the true colors to show through of whatever it is you're selling, and also to put it in the best light possible, not like, you know, professional lighting or anything, but just like how it looks in person to you. Back to the modeling tip, I will say though, try not to get your beautiful shining face into the picture, because then it is harder for a buyer to imagine themselves in that piece of clothing. Just like maybe like a sneaky kind of like half face, or just crop. You know, I love a good crop the whole head off. Like, don't put my face in it whatsoever. Let them imagine themselves in the piece, because otherwise it's just a little bit harder to sell things. I will say on Depop, some of the girlies are like super, you know, like they are artsy, they love it, and that's fine if you're one of those people. For me, I guess it just doesn't work. That's just my little tip, my sprinkle of knowledge. Lastly, for photos, I always recommend taking a picture of the tag. That way you don't get any questions about sizing when it's already listed in the description, but also authenticity. It just kind of helps give you a bit more credibility to your posting. Although like you're not going to sell anything fake, hopefully, I don't know. That way the buyer has like no questions asked about it. Like it's just pretty understood, like it's in the pictures, it's in the description, all your bases are covered. Also, when taking pictures, I highly recommend just putting your phone into the square mode. What's up, y'all? Just so it kind of streamlines the entire process, so you're not like stuck editing the picture and then you realize it crops off half of what you're trying to show. Also, for quality assurance, not so much that buyers like need to see the back of things, but just so they have peace of mind that it's not like there's a huge tear or rip in the back, just take a picture of the back of the item. But yeah, that's honestly generally it. I recommend doing whatever works for you, because I think taking photos and listing like the descriptions are the most time-consuming parts of Depop. So just pick whatever you're gonna feel most like productive doing. You can manage it, it's not gonna burn you out, and that you like are comfortable doing. Like if you don't want to model clothes, you don't have to. You can literally lay them down, white background or wood or even a rug. Like honestly, it doesn't matter. Just kind of use common sense of like, if it's a pattern thing, maybe don't put it on top of like a patterned blanket. If it's white, maybe don't use a white background, like those sorts of things. But other than that, you're pretty much good to go. Next is pricing. And now this is a tricky one because there are so many different pricing strategies when it comes to marketing in general, but then Depop. At the end of the day, Depoppers are there for a deal. Even unworn and unused product is going to be slightly discounted. So don't expect to make a huge profit from flipping things that have just been in your closet, even if they're unworn. My suggestion is to figure out a pricing strategy based on like what you're selling and how much of it you're selling. You want to offer bundles with a discount on shipping or a discount on the bundle itself, or do you want a little higher priced items and maybe they're only buying 1 or 2 things from you at a time? If you're focusing on clearing things out and bundling them, I would say a lower price point is probably good for you. I'm talking like $5 for a t-shirt, $10 for a sweater, $5 for a dress. But if you are more focused on like, okay, I'm not trying to sell everything, like I'm okay with things sitting around for a little bit longer and just having them sold as they go, then I would say maybe pricing's a little bit higher, obviously based on the quality of the item that you're selling. Like, you're not gonna have something that you've had from Target that you bought for 20 and sell for 30, you know what I mean? I will say though, do leave room for negotiations, because a lot of the times buyers are gonna look at things that are like $20 and offer you 12, you know? It feels like a little insulting. If you list an item for 20, but you're okay with selling it for 10, there's a lot of middle ground in between that you can meet a buyer and like have a set negotiation and be happy with the price that you're letting it go of. In my experience, I've sold more clothes at a higher price point than a lower price point, even though I've had them both listed. So if you're a Depop buyer, you missed out, because there was a time when things in my shop were literally $5 like across the board, but I wasn't making any sales that way. And it has to do with the perception of the quality of the clothing. So I priced them a little bit higher so buyers thought it has more value and they were more likely to buy my clothes. It really depends what works for your shop. Maybe experiment around a little bit. That's what's worked for me and I'm sticking to it. Also, like I said, it does leave a lot more room for negotiations, and I'm happy with letting things go cheaper than the buyer may have expected, which is just like a win-win for everybody. I'm nice. I like for everyone to be happy at the end of the day. Last thing to keep in mind about Depop is there is a seller's fee. So even after negotiations, or maybe let's say you list it for super cheap and it sells for super cheap, you also have to be okay with the fee that's being taken out at the end of the day. The platform also has to make money too. I don't think the fee needs to be that high considering there are so many sellers. That's just my personal opinion. But Depop does sometimes offer, like if you list sneakers and you sell them within this date, we won't take out a fee. So there's that kind of stuff. So just to make you happy and the buyer happy, list it at a price that you're not going to be like, oh, I can't believe they're lowballing me, but like you've overpriced it, or you sell something for $5 and after it's all said and done you only get like $2 back, you know? So just be mindful of that. Shipping. This can be a little tricky. Do I pay? Does the buyer pay? What do I even ship my things in? Like, there are a lot of questions. And I feel like this is the only true like startup cost besides your time and energy that you'll have for Depop. First and foremost, get yourself packing tape. I keep it like stocked and ready at all times, like a printer, or you can go to the public library. Don't forget to use your public resources and print shipping labels there, or if you have one at home or your school, wherever. And also mailers of some sort. So I personally, before we get into all that, I personally like to have the buyer pay for shipping. I do this because most of the time when people are online shopping, they're already thinking that shipping is calculated into their final price of what they're gonna buy. So let's say my budget for a new dress is $25. I'm expecting 5 or 6 of that to be for shipping. So then I'm gonna set my price range of dresses to like $0 to $20. Now this is from a buyer's perspective. The seller, you might be like, oh my gosh, it's gonna be so nice, so many more sales because I'm offering free shipping. When, I'm not gonna say you're getting ripped off, but like that's really awfully nice of you. But it's kind of unnecessary. Like, people are already factoring that shipping cost into it just because they're probably familiar with the platform, or they've done similar online shopping before where they're really just looking for one like specialty novelty kind of piece. So I wouldn't worry too much about not including shipping unless you are like, hey, you make a huge bundle of like 5+ items, I'll pay for shipping. I think if that's kind of like your pricing strategy, then go for it. But personally, people are only buying one thing from me at a time, and they're normally like extra small packages. Shipping's really not that expensive, so I just have them pay for it. Also, with the buyer paying for shipping versus setting up my own and me paying for it, it's so much less stressful. Depop is figuring out the shipping label for you. They're making sure your address is correct, the buyer's address is correct, and it's putting it into this nice little PDF ready for you to print and just paste right onto your package. So I let them take care of it. I can understand that's what the fees are for, I guess. For shipping, what I like to use are these compostable poly mailers. They're compostable, I'm pretty sure, like in an industrial kind of setting, so you may have to compost them very specifically, but I mean, at least it feels better to me than like straight up plastic bags or like poly mailers with bubble wrap. Ugh, gosh, nightmares. Or what I'll do is reuse packaging of packages from Depop that I've ordered, or like ThredUp, or like honestly a lot of places that do use poly mailers are making them resealable in case you want to ship things back for a return. I hardly ever return anything. I honestly can't remember the last time I returned something, so I use those packages to ship out my Depop orders, and that way I'm reducing my consumption of the poly mailers that I've already bought and reusing the ones that I have, and then hopefully those get recycled, or maybe they get reused again if they're in good enough condition. I will leave a link to the poly mailers that I use down in the description if you want to check it out. They're from Amazon. I think it was like a pack of 30 for like $12 or $13. So all things considered, like a pretty cheap startup cost once you get like mailers, tape, and then like printing kind of materials. Guys, it's Depop. Be creative. That's what draws me to the platform like time and time again. You just have so much flexibility and running your own shop. If you have like an inkling of an entrepreneurial spirit, you are gonna love Depop. Like, you're just gonna thrive there. It just makes sense. Now, these are like a few extra fun tips I'm throwing in there, but you can leave like a thank you note. You can throw in free little gifts sometimes. I have like this little bag of jewelry, clean obviously, of things that I don't wear anymore, that sometimes I'll like slip into a package every now and again, and people really appreciate that. It's also just a way for me to like offload things that I'm also still not wearing anymore without throwing them away. I've had some sellers kind of like spritz the package with like a light clean scent. I've even had some include their business card, which like pop off queen, you go girl boss. Like, I could never, but thank you for the inspo. So I thought I might pass that along to you in case maybe you have like a business card for something else. I don't know, maybe I should put a business card in there. Be like, check out my YouTube. But yeah, honestly, everything is completely up to you. The aesthetic, the marketing, the descriptions, everything that you have control over. Like, the packaging can be super personalized. Like, it is up to you. It is what you make it. So make it something great, make it fun, make it something that people want to purchase from you again or tell their friends about. Sometimes I catch myself just like scrolling through Depop just to like check out other people's shop aesthetics. Even if I'm not looking to buy anything, I'm just like, wow, this is a really nicely curated page, and I appreciate the effort they put into it. And who knows, maybe I follow them, maybe I save something, maybe I purchase from them down the line. That is going to be the end of this video. I really hope you found something useful. If you did, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up so I know. I'm all about circular fashion, y'all. You know I thrift. I'm on secondhand, doing swaps, doing Depop, doing ThredUp. This is just, I think, a way to help divert a lot of waste, and like the fashion industry is the second most wasteful. So just doing a part that you can, you know, it helps. Especially being a seller, like, you are the person that is deciding to not throw your clothes away. Okay, so keep that in mind. You've got a lot of power there in your thumbs. So that is going to be all for today's video. Thank you so much for sticking around and spending your time with me. If you found it helpful, like I said, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know down below if you have any other kind of top secret tips that you want to share with the class. We're waiting, we're waiting, we're waiting. Okay, great. I will catch you guys in my next video. Until then, oh my god, I say this all the time. Don't forget to be kind to yourself, others, and the planet, and I'll catch y'all later. Bye.